Daniel Kastner here, and today I'm going to teach you some ambient tips on the microKORG. Let's check it out. Alright, so I've just turned on the microKORG and I've moved to a sound that I don't quite like. I've gone to the D&B Breaks program, side B, and program 2. And I actually don't like most of the ones in this row, so I'm going to kind of show you real quick how to initialize. What I would recommend is having ones that you do like, potentially moving them up, so you can write them up this way. You might have some trial and error here. You might just want to experiment with what happens. And kind of whatever happens, you're probably going to be better off clearing as much as you can on this keyboard. So here's what's the sounds out of this. These are the sounds that are in this channel. It's not really my style. So the first thing I'm going to do is go check write protection, and that's Shift 8. You can then turn this one cutoff wheel and just make sure it's off. That means you can then write. Sometimes that's on, sometimes it's off. It's just a good thing to check every time you start the synth. The next thing you're going to do is, let's say I'm on this sound, and if I want to initialize it and start from scratch, something that I will do is hit Shift 3. And if you hit 3 again, it initializes the patch. It's kind of boring, but that's what it is. And immediately what I do is I then write. So I'll hit write, and I'll hit it again, and it'll say write because it's writing. And now, if I go back and forth, these sounds are terrible. But now I'm initialized here, which is great, because then I can build from it. So I recently had an Instagram post on my wall, just kind of talking about how to make some ambient sounds out of this synth. And I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of mess around and do that. So one of the first things I'll typically do is I'll go to Oscillator 1. And if you look at the wheel and kind of what's in this table, again, one of the best ways you're going to get acquainted with this synth is doing it. And these actually go pretty much in order that you're going to be using them. So typically I just take Oscillator 1, and I'll show you more oscillators down the road, but I like these digital waves, so it looks like DI9. So one of the first things I'm going to do is I'm going to just scroll this up. Some of them are great, some of them aren't. I think we can do something cool with that. So it's not a bad sound, but I'm gonna take it and hit 2 again, because that brings me now into a mode where I can use the cutoff, I can use the resonance, the EG attack, and the release. So if I play a chord like D, it's not quite what I want. Pretty loud, actually. It's kind of obnoxious. So what I'm going to do is take off the attack, and that's just going to make a really slow ramp from when I'm playing the note to what's actually played. Something I might do then is take the release and have it go really long. So there might be something in here that you're liking. So one of the biggest tips I'll have for you, you can go pick any digital wave, just really take off that attack and make the release really long. And it's really just gonna, ramp up to your sound and just play it forever. So this is kind of a place I'll start. Sometimes you can mess around with the octave. Your cutoff is actually gonna make it it's just a filter cutoff, and all it really is doing is taking off different frequencies. So when we bring it down here, just kind of building out this sound. So this is pretty cool as it is, but I think there's some more that we can do to this tone. One of the first things I like trying to mess with is this mod wheel. I think it can do some really cool things, but I don't know why they've set it up this way, but I think it's really obnoxious, and I think it's one of the first things that you should change on most of your patches to do some really cool noise, ambient, harsh noise. I think of Boards of Canada. I think of like a lot of really pretty music that can be made with the microKORG. But they set it up so when you're playing a chord, it just does this goofy vibrato pitch thing, and I think that's really useless. So one of the first things you're going to want to go do is actually move this knob to the pitch, and you'll find one of these is set to 5. I believe it is the vibrato. Just take that and bring it to 0. And now when you do this, to get out of it, again, you just push your program number. It's not going to do anything, but that's okay. So, to get this mod wheel to do something, what you can do is you can do some internal patching. And what I do is I take this second knob, bring it down to patch 1, and then I just kind of see what's going on and see what the numbers are. So one of the first things you're going to want to look at is if this 3 wheel is doing anything. Luckily it's 0. That's kind of one of my favorite things to see. If you don't see it 0, like on another patch, just switch your patch number until you find one that probably has 0. You might be messing with some pretty core tone because it might just be set up that way. So what you're going to want to do is, again, patch 1, you check out this 3rd wheel, make sure it's 0. You go back to the first one, and what you're going to want to find is the mod, I believe it's mod, because that is patch 1 source. So we're setting a source, and then we're actually adding a destination. And that destination is going to be the noise generator. And then the 3rd wheel is how much noise is going to be applied. I like cranking that up. So by the time we click this, you'll find now if I play that same chord, I can play this. And roll this up, and I get this really cool sustained noise. You can use your release and just have it go forever. So you can play some sort of chord progression. So sometimes what I'll do is I'll then mess with the arpeggiator, and sometimes you can get some really cool things out of this too. You just notice that it's not latching, so we have to go fix that. The way you do that is by switching this bottom one to Arpeggiator B, and then seeing if this is on or off. On is the magical word. And that seems a little fast, and one of the quickest ways to change tempo is actually taking this away, hitting 2, and then just messing with the tempo knob. You can change your attack with this. So if you want to do something a little different with your arpeggiation, I believe it's in Arpeggiator A. If you go to number 4, you can then change what's actually going on with the steps. One of the things I like the most is probably random, so I can play a lot of notes. For example, to get out of this mode, you're just going to want to turn the knob and click your 2 button. It's one of the fastest ways I know how to get out. This is sounding pretty cool, isn't it? So, I've shown you how to take an oscillator and actually just change it to a digital wave. And I've shown you how to take the mod wheel and turn it into a noise-making machine. I've shown you how to take the arpeggiator, turn it to random mode, and try a bunch of different things. What we should maybe do next is maybe make a new sound. So I haven't written this yet, so I'm probably going to just go and do that. Unfortunately, it doesn't play while it's saving. It must need something. But if I go back and play this again now, go into this Oscillator 1 again and check our wave. find something else pretty in this. And another thing we haven't even messed with is the octave shift. So if I go back to 34, so you can kind of keep bringing this up. If I went back down, played what we were playing before, you'll find that I have this mod wheel about halfway and it just sounds fantastic here. Which I think the original patch of sounds, like if they added this, I think everybody would have a different opinion about this synth. So let's keep in the oscillator and keep messing with some of the waves. I'm kind of obsessed with these 30s. So you'll probably find some pretty interesting stuff in here. Electric pianos and organs. Man, I don't know if you heard the difference between that on camera, but that added a lot of bass. The actual table's shaking now. Those rainbow machine sounds. And let's say we want to maybe add some distortion. And I think this is one thing you gotta be a little careful with, but there's gonna be so on top of adding noise with the mod wheel, I've just added distortion. You can kind of hear it, but if I bet you didn't know that you could get this much distortion and noise out of the microKORG. It's wild. I'm actually not even sure I did that. So if you liked this, please subscribe, follow my other accounts, and stay tuned for more microKORG tips. I'm excited to share what I know about this synth. I think it's actually pretty underrated. I think the original patches are pretty terrible, but we've done some great changes, and if we keep messing with this microKORG, I think we can get some really beautiful new music out of it and look at this synth in a little bit of a better light. So let me know what you think. Let me know what you want to see next, and I will catch you soon. Thank you so much.